Ladies and gentlemen, your boy, Lord Nuxanor, is here to consume more lore. As you know, I've recently done the insane deep dive into Lovecraftian mythos. Every Lovecraft story, every mythos entity, and the power scaling of the different eldritch gods in the Lovecraft universe lore. Apparently, I really need to do this one. A lot of people have been telling me to do Tale Foundry's video, This Story Will Ruin Your Mind, The King in Yellow. Apparently, this is kind of Lovecraft coded. I don't exactly know what I'm jumping into here, but I heard it's actually insane and will ruin my mind. So this is very exciting and cool. I am also about to do my Bloodborne lore dive, so I was told that I should appreciate Lovecraft's lore to its entirety first. So here we are, baby. Let's jump right into it. Let's see if this King in Yellow actually deserves the hype.
You know, I really thought this video was going to be about a monster. That's why I planned it for Halloween.
Okay.
I've been hearing about the King in Yellow for ages.
Same, bro. People have been literally knocking my door down to do King in Yellow. It's crazy. It's like, Nux, why are you covering Niji-Sanji drama when there's the King in Yellow? Truth is, it's because I'm a petty bitch, but I don't tell them.
And despite all the books and games and references it's cropped up in, I feel like I've never really understood what it is. Like, they always make it sound like some kind of big, tentacly demon, but...
dude, say less! Say less! I love me some big tentacly demons. I've seen them everywhere. In Lovecraft lore, in hentai...
But it somehow feels wrong beside Cthulhu and H.P. Lovecraft's other space octopus gods. Well, perhaps against my best judgment, I finally went and read the source material.
Alright!
The original book. Turns out, the King in Yellow isn't really much of a monster at all. Really, it sort of says that we are.
Huh? Okay, that's a totally different perspective that I was expecting. I thought King in Yellow was like Nyarlathotep or something. Like, you know, the crawling chaos, the monster that lives in the void but sends its avatars to the material realm to get people to become pieces of shit and summon it. Isn't that the King in Yellow? I could be totally wrong, but I thought that when he said this story will ruin your mind, I expected a terrifying eldritch horror.
We writers.
The writers? Look, I'm a writer. I've created some shit in my time. Most of it not even under my name. You might have heard of it and not even known that it was me. That's crazy. All right, let's go. Let's go,
In case you didn't know, until the end of the month, we're giving away free Tailoid keychains to everyone who joins our Patreon at the $10 tier. And
this dude makes great content, honestly. I've seen a couple of his videos here and there.
There are only a few days left, so if you do want to get one this way, now's the time. Or if you'd rather just get one directly, they're also available for just $15 in our merch store.
Nice.
To everyone who already decided to buy one, and to all of our current patrons, thank you so much.
Very keychain.
You really help us to keep making these videos. We love you.
Ah! Yeah, feel free to go to my Patreon too. Listen, I'm gonna leave his plug up here. Definitely support this man. I like his stuff. But feel free to go to my Patreon. I'm just happy for my Patreon support me. I get copyrighted a lot of demonetization. Maybe it's because I say shit, come, fart, fuck, and maybe not. No one knows why I get demonetized. It's a mystery.
If you have...
My last South Park one got demonetized because I put Cartman's tits on the thumbnail. That one I know I got demonetized. That one I know.
Have no idea what any of this is, don't worry. You're probably not alone.
Yeah. All I know is the basic Lovecraft stuff. Listen, I've done my lore dives in Lovecraft. I'm actually considering doing a whole main channel video on the twisted terror of Lovecraft philosophy. I'm thinking seriously of doing that. But, I know nothing about the King in Yellow somehow.
Most people who know of the King in Yellow know it as a tentacled elder god invented back during the
Hey, it's not called an elder god, it's an other god. This is an etymological mistake that a lot of people make.
Sci-fi boom. To them, it's a distinct alien entity. I guess it's sort of become that, but the true version of the King in Yellow is really a book of short stories written by the author Robert W. Chambers.
Oh, it's not even written by Lovecraft, okay.
Around the turn of the 20th century. All the tales in the book are connected by a fictional play also called The King in Yellow, which, in the world of the book, is known for its remarkable influence. In the stories, the play has been
Wait, so this is a book within a book. All right.
censored, condemned, and banned by almost every public organization.
That's how you know it's worth reading. This is the ultimate gold star of reading materials. Any shit that gets banned is something worth reading. On God, 100%. If I saw someone made a video, make a whole book about the giant ice wall and flat Earth theory, I'm not gonna look at it twice. But if it's called the giant ice wall and flat Earth theory, and it's also banned by the government of America, bro, I am reading that ASAP, okay? There is nothing more of a glowing recommendation than a banned book. Oh, hell yeah.
Not because it contains anything immoral, but because it has the power to change its readers in ways that are hard to fathom.
I mean, that makes a lot of sense. I change my viewers in ways that are hard to fathom. I'm just saying. Like, suddenly they start becoming gooners. Coincidence, probably.
It has spread through the world, quote, like an infectious disease, to the point where almost everyone interested in the arts has at least heard of it, if not read bits and pieces. I wouldn't really describe the stories in this book as scary or even existential like a lot of H.P. Lovecraft's work.
Okay.
They're just weird. It's hard to say.
All right, so why will this break my mind? Why do people say that this is gonna break my mind? I'm confused. I'm confused!
How exactly, but there's this dissonant quality to them. Watching how the play affects the characters and their lives somehow gives me this sense of repulsion, like my mind is trying to reject something before I even know what that something is.
Oh God.
And
I'm literally at the edge of my seat. I love this idea so much because I feel like every piece of media, every piece of art changes the viewer, right? I'm not saying you're gonna look at Picasso's painting of a penguin and you're gonna be like, holy shit, I should fuck my sister. Okay? Obviously that's crazy. That's not gonna happen. But the art does change you on some degree. It affects you, it changes you, it inspires you, it makes you a better or worse or different person, right? They have all these examples of where they would show like violent pieces of art to animals and the animals would become more violent, whereas they'd show wholesome pieces of art to animals and the animals would become more wholesome and docile. Like, this is a very real thing that happens in real world. The idea that art influences people is a very, very, very awesome aspect to art, okay? I love that. I am a different person because of the art I have consumed. There are certain pieces of art and media that have legitimately changed me. I think for the better, personally, but Twitter might not. Like, for some of the most impactful pieces of work to me are stories like Berserk, okay? That's just the first one that comes to mind. A story like Berserk, it taught me to struggle. It taught me to strive to grow even in the most hopeless and dark, tragic bullshits of the world. It makes me want to get back up and try harder when I feel like everything is against me. And you know what? That is awesome. That is the beauty of good art. And so the idea that art changes you, I think, is a really real concept, which is why I am very excited to see why this story will ruin your mind. Because the idea of a piece of art actually affecting the readers is real. So turning this into a horror perspective is fascinating.
all begins with a poem in the book's dedication.
All right.
Along the shore the cloud waves break. The twin suns sink behind the lake.
Okay.
The shadows lengthen in Carcosa.
Oh, the
Strange
Carcosa.
is the night where black stars rise and strange moons circle through
Black Star. I've seen some great hentai of her.
the skies, but stranger still is lost Carcosa.
What the hell's Carcosa?
Songs that the Hyades shall sing, where flap the tatters of the king, must die unheard in dim Carcosa. Song of my soul, my voice is dead. Die thou unsung as tears unshed, shall dry and die in lost Carcosa.
Okay.
Casilda's Song in The King in Yellow, Act 1, Scene 2.
I mean, it definitely does make Carcosa seem like some ethereal, godly place, but okay.
I know that must sound like a lot of beautiful gibberish right now.
It does,
It
yeah.
certainly did to me the first time I read it, but that's part of the intrigue. It sets a tone of disorientation and foreboding, depicts a world we can't quite grasp, where suns sink behind lakes, where souls have songs which the deadened voice can no longer sing. The impression is deep, but you can hardly articulate where it comes from.
True.
And that confusion is important. After this one
Yeah, I mean, like, again, it is a serene sounding poem, even though I literally have no idea what he's talking about.
Fleeting glimpse of the play, the strangeness of it still marinating in our minds, the first actual story in the book begins. It's called The Repairer of Reputations.
Yo, that's me. You know how many people come to me behind the scenes and are like, oh, great repairer of reputations. I have just gotten into some sort of Twitter shit. Can you please help me and assist me in getting myself out of this quagmire? Don't worry, my child, my friend, my homie. I, the repairer of reputations, will tell you the path to walk in order to survive. This literally happened to me yesterday, by the way. I know I'm like making this whole joke and meme. Someone is getting threatened right now that they're gonna get like exposed and shit. And I'm like, all right, dude, we're gonna cover our bases. We're gonna go through this. You say you're innocent. Gather the proof first before you say anything. You know, like I'll walk you through it. That's me, repairer of reputations, baby.
And it's where
it works so well because my reputation is so golden.
People seem to draw most of their inspiration for The King in Yellow from. It's about a man named Hildred Castaigne who, after reading the play for the first time, becomes embroiled in a cultish plot to overthrow the U.S. government.
Based! No, I'm joking. That was honestly, U.S. government, if you're listening, it's not based. It was a knee-jerk reaction to say that because I thought it was funny. It's not based. And let me just make this completely clear to everyone watching this right now. I do not have any suicidal thoughts. None at all. I do not, have never, and probably will never want to commit suicide. Just wanted to put that out there.
He's convinced by a professional blackmailer who keeps a massive network of debtors that he is the rightful heir to the throne of the King in Yellow. Together, they plan to erect an imperial dynasty of America built after the fashion of the lost imperial dynasty of Carcosa from—
Yes! The imperial dynasty of America! Finally! Someone to get rid of democracy! Ugh!
They believe that as the influence of the play has spread, the nation has become ready for an uprising, and that, in the end, they will welcome Hildred as their new king.
Okay.
As this delusion takes hold, he becomes ever more sensitive about his mental health, lashing out at anyone who expresses worry for him. Before long, he's turned against everyone he loves.
Okay.
He's even willing to have his own cousin killed because he believes the man to be before him in the line of succession, and thus the one—
The line of succession? He is so brainwashed by this idea, he's trying to not only turn America into the Imperium of Man, but also kill the people that might take the throne before him. Oh my god.
One thing blocking the way to his promised kingdom. Of course, this all ends in tragedy for our deluded hero. The sad coup, engineered by minds fractured and perverted through study of the play, inevitably unravels at the seams. As the authorities take him away to the asylum, he experiences one final moment of tragic clarity and shouts to his baffled cousin,
"For the Emperor!"
"Ah, I see it now. You have seized the throne and the empire. Woe! Woe to you who are crowned with the crown of the King in Yellow."
Shit, that makes this king... So the King in Yellow is an idea. It's not an eldritch horror. I thought the King in Yellow was one of the Lovecraftian mythos gods. I didn't realize the King in Yellow is an idea, a play that makes people insane. Again, we're just getting started here. This story will ruin my mind. So
a bit of an about face there to go from wanting to be the King in Yellow to crying out the woe of anyone who is crowned the king. But this theme of ruination in the promised paradise is one we're going to see play out over the course of the book.
I guess that's the theme here. The King in Yellow seems like, at least so far, the crown, right? You put a crown on someone's head, you tell them they're special, and they think they're special. You tell them that they are, God's gift to the world, God-given to be the correct and supreme ruler, and it just completely corrupts them. Dictator psychosis. It just, I guess, maybe. I guess we'll see where this goes, but that's a really interesting theme to hammer home.
Speaking of which, the second story, and my personal favorite,
I guess this Lovecraft-like stories and stories in the Lovecraft mythos, like tapping into like a very human carnal fear and carnal desire. This definitely is a carnal desire. The idea that if someone is just given an ounce of recognition more than they deserve, it could completely break them and break the people around them. You know, get complimented by a woman once, literally dies. You know, like the meme?
Called The Mask. It's shockingly romantic for something so grim, but before it starts, it also gives us one of the only other excerpts from the play itself that we ever get.
Okay.
Camilla, You, sir, should unmask. Stranger.
Okay.
Indeed. Casilda. Indeed. It's time. We all have laid aside disguise but you. Stranger. I wear no mask. Camilla, terrified, aside to Casilda. No mask? No mask! The King in Yellow.
That is such a bone-chilling poem. Oh my god, that is bone-chilling. Right? Because the idea that, like, everyone wears a mask. Camilla and Casilda have names. What are those names? Those names are their masks. Because, look, Nux Taku, okay, is my mask to some degree, you know? A lot of people will hear Nux Taku and they'll think of me, even though it's not really me. It is a mask I wear when I'm on the internet. It's not me and all of myself. See, Stranger over here, Stranger is called Stranger because he doesn't have a name. He doesn't have a name. He is just what he's being looked at as other people. They have names. They are wearing masks by the fact that they have names. Their names define who they are. Stranger, who does not wear a name, has no mask, and that terrifies everyone else. Like, that's a really, really deep shit. This is a brilliant story. I can't believe this. Okay, all right. Not mind broken yet. We'll see if the hype is real. All right, not mind broken yet. Just interesting.
Right. Scene 2. Hold on to that. You really needed to understand this one.
Okay.
The story is one of longing and change and destiny. Alec is an artist with a circle of friends that he treasures above all else.
Hey!
One of them, Boris, is incredibly wealthy, living on a grand estate and funding novel experiments in the fields of art and chemistry.
Love that.
He even finds a new element that, in its liquid form, can turn living things into beautiful rose marble statues.
What? Need to get this guy on the Joe Rogan podcast to teach him about the new elements he discovered. All right, dude.
Almost instantly. Another of Alec's dear friends, Genevieve, is the love of his life, but she's also Boris's lover.
No, not the NTR King in Yellow plotline. We never needed this. We never wanted this.
For all of their sakes, Alec does his best to be supportive of them in their relationship, pretending that it doesn't pain him. He calls this effort his mask, and it reminds him of the pallid mask from the play.
Oh my god, yeah. Yep. We all live with masks. We all have parts of ourselves that we don't want to share with some people, okay? I don't want to share my perfect private life with you guys, okay? And I don't want to share my Lord Nuxanor crazy schizo posting with every single human being in my real life. And yes, I do to some extent wear masks with different people. I'm lucky to have someone in my life that I don't have a mask with, and that's, I think, what you need to be looking for in a relationship. That is when you actually find someone that you want to live with, right? That's someone that you want to share your life with, someone that you don't need to wear a mask at all. But aside from one person, I wear a mask with everyone. Sometimes it's not a big mask, sometimes it's not a big deal, but you always have a mask.
Just like in the excerpt, he feels that the mask has stopped being a mask and become a part of him.
That's it, baby. You fake it long enough, you fake it till you make it, dude.
Over the course of the story, as it becomes clear that his friends have also read the play, fate seems to reshuffle its hand for him.
Oh?
Genevieve throws herself into a pool of Boris's statue-creating fluid because of the agony of her repressed love for Alec.
Huh?
Boris takes his own life and leaves his entire estate to Alec. Another of his friends travels abroad and becomes possessed with the idea that Alec is someone of terrible importance, rushing back to see him. And finally, it's revealed that the effects of the statue chemical do not last forever. Genevieve returns to life, and with no obstacles between them.
Oh my god, that's so scary. Holy shit. Oh my god.
She and Alec, at last, find their love.
That is so scary. That is so scary.
The impression is one of a prince coming into his inheritance. As Alec dons the mask and at last becomes one with it, he takes the role of the interloper in that excerpt from the play we read earlier.
Yeah,
the one
he becomes the stranger that doesn't wear a mask.
We would assume to be the King in Yellow. And leaving behind a trail of madness and death, his world seems to rush the crown onto his head.
Shit, dude. So what is the connection between these two stories? They seem so wildly different. The idea of the King in Yellow seems so different from one to the other.
The third story is...
All right, dude. So just before, trying to find a string of some sort of connection here. I don't know, I guess the King in Yellow is really, it's just some sort of dark shit that just makes you the main character in your own life. Right? Like, either that, you know, it's a play of madness, but it's a madness that really makes you the main character. Trying to become the king of the Empire of America, or trying to, you know, have it work out that you end up with the love of your life that's currently in love with someone else. Like, it's maddening. Okay, all right. I don't see a solid string here to connect all this shit. I'm sure we're gonna get into that, but okay.
It's quite a bit...
I guess the connection is taking on some sort of new identity. He wore a mask to become the king, and it drove him insane. He wore a mask to, you know, the best friend character, and that's who he became. I guess we'll see.
Simpler than the first two, but it's also very important. It's the only one that actually seems to embrace the entity of the King in Yellow, rather than just the influence of the play.
Okay, so it is an actual eldritch horror. Love that. Love that.
But even then, the king himself seems to be more of a symbol than anything. The story is called The Court of the Dragon, and it follows a man who, having read the play, seeks the comfort of a familiar church house. But something is wrong. While the pastor gives a decidedly strange sermon on how nothing can harm the soul, the organ music becomes dissonant, disturbing, almost nausea-inducing. When the man looks at the organist to see who would play such a tune, he finds himself met with the most hateful gaze he's ever experienced.
Holy shit, that's scary. Okay.
He hurries out of the place, but the strange, pale organist follows him into the night, stalking him all the way home. He's gripped by the notion that somehow this man is death itself, and that there is no escape. When he's finally captured, he is not killed, but spirited away to another world.
What? This is the wildest isekai of all time. What is even going on here? How is this at all connected to the other ones? This is frustratingly maddening.
The ruined land of Carcosa, where
the Carcosa, finally! Yeah, the Carcosa is like this seemingly insane city, like this eldritch temple.
Stars rise behind the moon, and the cloud waves break. The awful abode of lost souls. And for the first and only time, we encounter the King in Yellow himself, who wraps the protagonist in radiance as he approaches, saying,
"It is a fearful thing to fall into the hands of the living God."
I suppose that once the truth of the play has you, there is no God left to turn to, no comfort left to find. You are as good as lost. And finally, our fourth story.
That's the whole story? What is the theme here? I cannot believe how disconnected it is, one to the other, except somehow they have a similar air to them, you know? Like, all these stories are drastically different, okay? From a guy who wanted to start some sort of insurrection in America, to a dude who was in love with someone, got NTR'd, and the person she was in love with killed himself because he thought she died, to the third story of a dude going to church, hearing a weird sermon, and getting whisked away to an alternate world where he said, God cannot save you here, or some shit like that. Like, they all are such drastically different stories, but there is something about them that hits the same emotional note. This idea of your life is not your own. This piece of art has changed you, and you are not the same person you were before. Like, there's something so scary.
After which the play is hardly, if ever, mentioned again in the book. The Yellow Sign.
All right.
Again, if you're a fan of the Cthulhu mythos, this should be ringing some bells.
All right, let's go, baby. We just did the mythos deep dive. We just did the whole Lovecraft lore dive. Let's go.
And I'll admit, this one is pretty pulpy compared to the others. But it's also different in another important way.
Okay.
The main character, Mr. Scott, has not read the play. In fact, he's sworn it off entirely, knowing how it's influenced people like the late Hildred Castaigne, who was his friend. But the play is very insistent. Throughout the story, Scott is haunted by a strange, bloated, pale, corpse-like man.
Yo, that's literally me. I'm a pale corpse-like man. Oh my god.
Whose very presence makes it impossible for him to create his art. At the same time, he and his lover are both plagued by dreams of his death.
That's scary, okay.
One night, not knowing what she's done, she brings him a brooch she's found in the street. It bears a strange yellow symbol which belongs to no known language of man.
Oh, God.
And as if this were an invitation, the king in yellow suddenly appears in Scott's library.
Uh-oh! Uh-oh!
As they both succumb to its lure, reading it and discussing it in a daze, the corpse-like man comes upon them like the Reaper. He rots the door's lock at a touch, kills the girl,
oh my God.
and then collapses into a pile of fetid flesh, finally at rest. When the authorities arrive, they say that the man must have been dead for some time already.
Oh my God. So they arrest him?
The story ends with Scott in psychiatric care, praying for death. But the prayers are cut short, and we never find out why.
That is haunting. Well, remember what I said about the connecting theme between all these stories? Well, nope. That's not it. There's something else. There's something else here. This isn't about a piece of art that changed a man's mind. This isn't about someone who was changed unknowingly. God, dude. But again, it has that same feel to it. Every single one of these stories is the same vibe. It elicits the same emotion somehow, even though they all just seem so insanely different. I guess some things are just out of your control. Even things as simple as protecting the people you love.
So it looks like the play is more than just a weird piece of literature that drives you mad. It really does seem like a virus working through the will of the ones it touches to make itself known, even to those who wish not to know it. I wonder if its author even really had a choice. After this story, the rest spiral off into what feels like pretty aimless romanticism. Art Nouveau culture in Paris, wartime ruminations on the nature of love, prophetic vignettes, time-traveling lovers, but hardly anything else about the King in Yellow. It's hard to know why these are in the collection at all, but there they are. And still, even in just these first 4 stories, my goodness, there is a lot to find.
Yeah.
I could go on for a very long time about my personal thoughts and interpretations.
All right.
The philosophical
Ready?
implications of all afterlives vanishing, a usurper god slipping in to take their place, the journey of the soul.
It's truly horrifying. Truly horrifying. The idea of some sort of like you've been praying to the wrong person, like that's such a horrifying idea.
Soul becoming terminal rather than something transcendent. But I really don't think that's the point of the play in these stories. I think the play is actually something far more concrete and surprisingly relatable.
Yeah, how a piece of art can change you. It can change you, and you have no control over how it changes you. I don't know. Maybe I'm just reading into this with my own biases and stuff, but that's really kind of what it feels like. It could change you and manipulate you without you even knowing you're being manipulated.
To me, it serves as a demonstration. Not just a powerful piece of literature unto itself, but a show of what words can truly do.
Yeah! Bro, spittin'. The idea that it changes you is not because it has magic powers, ooga booga 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 booga, that changes you.
An example of the pinnacle of language's power to influence the ones who read or hear it.
Cooking!
In the version of the book I read, there's a foreword by the writer Nick Pizzolatto who explains this so beautifully. The idea of magic words has always felt misunderstood to me.
Yeah.
The magic is not in the words themselves or any particular word because they are, after all, empty vessels. The magic is only ever using the right words in the exact right way.
Yeah, to change the mind of the reader. Yeah, that's kind of what this is vibing like to me too. Oh God, I'm so happy I was on the right wavelength. Oh my God.
The secret knowledge lies in arranging, say, the 26 symbols of our English alphabet into a configuration which reliably produces an intended effect upon the audience, perhaps and even especially against that audience's wishes. Configurations most commonly categorized as story, poem, lyric, or play.
Yep.
Then there's no end to the capabilities of language and its power over human beings, its ability to engender the most overwhelming emotional states.
Bro's cooking. Stories can change you, even without you knowing they've changed you.
Put words to music, and the entire world can move.
100%.
We writers know this. We're almost obsessive about it, always searching for the right words, trying to create the perfect effect. It's our way of working true magic, and we can be so wrapped up in it,
God, I love this channel so much. I love it so much. as someone that has written shit, as someone that loves consuming media and overanalyzing bullshit, dude, as someone that sees meaning in episodes of Adventure Time and loves doing that so much, loving the lore dives and seeing how different pieces of art are conveying different emotions. This is awesome, dude. I love this channel.
We don't stop to consider the unintended consequences. Think of the play. Think of its dark, corrupting message. As readers, we don't know what that message actually is, only that it wants to spread. I don't think that's particularly unique. After a fashion, I'd say that all information...
Every single artist, every single reviewer, every single person that puts something in the world wants their idea to spread. They don't want their ideas to die with them. They want their ideas to become immortalized in one way or another. 100%. This is just a wild story.
Wants to spread, and language is its primary vector. Be careful what you release into the world. You aren't responsible for what people take from your work, but you are responsible for what you give. Love your art enough not to make it a vector for falsehood, evil, hatred. Love your words enough to choose them well. And
he's definitely coming at this from a more wholesome perspective than I was. He's talking about loving your work to make your work be a vector for love. I'm talking about how art affects people, sometimes positively, sometimes negatively, and sometimes in ways that the reader cannot even control. And I do think that these are both correct messages, for sure.
That would be where the video ends, except I have more to say.
All right, let's go,
There's
baby.
a whole missing section of this video about my interpretation of the play itself. I discussed the original short story that inspired it, as well as some references to mythology to figure out what it actually may be about. It's a little beside the point and very speculative, so we ultimately had to trim it for time.
All right, I'm ready.
But I couldn't quite let it all go. I had to keep a full version of the video out there somewhere. It seemed right. Thankfully, there is a place where we can share that
Patreon. No!
stuff.
Sure. I want to look at that poem one more time. I just want to see the poem one more time. Because now that I have a couple of those stories in mind and the ideas of how it changes you, I just want to see what that poem looks like.
With a poem in the book's dedication. Along the shore the cloud waves break. The twin suns sink behind the lake. The shadows lengthen in Carcosa.
All right, so Carcosa is this insanely ethereal alternate world. It's this different place. It's a place that you cannot reach, but it is a place that has its own governing rules. All right, okay.
Strange is the night where black stars rise, and strange moons circle through the skies, but stranger still is lost Carcosa.
All right, so you have an endless mystery, right? That's what this is. Black stars, endless nights, incredibly big mysteries. And the biggest mystery is the location at all. This endless limbo, this lost Carcosa, this place that cannot even begun to be fathomed. Not only can you not fathom the different physical entropies of this world, but you can't fathom what the world itself is. Endless mystery.
Songs that the Hyades shall sing, where flap the tatters of the king, must die unheard in dim Carcosa.
A place where things live and where things die. A place that has its own songs, it has its own cultures, it has its own unheard music. It is a completely lost and different world than your own. It is different than you.
Song of my soul, my voice is dead. Die thou unsung as tears unshed, shall dry and die in lost Carcosa.
In this completely distant world, a world of souls, a world that is not yours, all right? We want to make it clear. This is a place of fantasy. This is not a world that you inhabit. It is a place of souls. Maybe only the deepest and darkest part of you can be there, but you will live and die there without even knowing how it affects your actual heart. It is a lost world that will affect you on a completely subconscious level that you cannot possibly fathom. It's the idea of the author of art, the author of a story. That they'll create something that'll hit you on some subconscious level and maybe affect you there, and it will change who you are without you even knowing that happened.
Casilda's song in The King in Yellow, Act 1, Scene 2.
And this is Casilda, the person who's always wearing a mask, because every writer is also wearing a mask. The mask is who they are as the author while they're writing any given piece of story, any story, any art, any song. It is brilliant stuff. And while I'm not going to sit here and make believe that my content slop is art, to some degree, my character is a piece of art. Maybe not a good piece of art, all right? But to some degree it is. To you, I am a piece of content, all right? To you guys, I'm a mask. And I do hope that overall I am putting something good into the world for sure. Sure, I guess, whatever. I don't care that much, to be honest, but like, I hope. But the King in Yellow is awesome. This story will ruin your mind. Literally. That is what the King in Yellow does. It ruins your mind. Because the definition of ruining is changing something that existed in one form and turning it into something else. And that's what all art does. Art that affects you changes you. Against your will, it changes you. That's what every YouTuber does. That's what every influencer does. That's what every song does. What every piece of media does. It is a profound medium to change your heart and your soul for the better or the worse. There is something horrifying in that, but there's also something beautiful there. And I love this. I love the King in Yellow. Thank you so much for requesting it to me. I know that a lot of people have been asking me to watch his specific video on anti-memes as well, the SCP. So I am down for that. This was a banger. Thank you all so much for being here. And, all right, dude, Lovecraft Mythos is so awesome. All right, stay weird, fam. If you made it to the end, click one of these 2 videos, which also will definitely get me canceled. See you live on Kick. Stay weird, fam.